So we are back for part two of the drama. So you don't see him yet, but in a second, Will be joining us to have part of this conversation with me, talk about the idea of not only what brought you here, the idea of who you are and how you got there, but also the idea of what a hero is, what makes a hero. How do you become a hero? Why do you want to become a hero? It's a pretty big question to ask. In the context of myself, we'll do a little refresher about kind of what I was saying a hero is, and why a modern day hero is who they say they are, and why most of us work towards that type of a thing. So, everyone, say hi to Will. Say hi, Will.
Hello.
So, Will is my student success advisor. Yeah, so I always want to call him like coach or mentor or something like that. But student success advisor. His job here at Rise Above, as I've mentioned before, is to really get involved with our students and to ensure that they have a successful transition into Rise Above and a successful transition out of Rise Above, and then kind of everything in between.
Yep.
So you really don't do a whole lot.
Yeah.
It's pretty boring. Plays a lot of games. I'm sure he plays a lot of solitaire in his office and tiddlywinks and whatnot.
Yeah, that's why I'm in there all the time.
Yeah. So the goal today with the stream is just to talk about a little bit about your role. Talk a little bit about kind of what brought you here. Talk a little bit about what you think a hero is, and if you were a hero, what type of hero would you be? And then really to explore your path, your journey to this point, and what draws you to this environment, these kids, and the work that we do here at Rise Above. So Will being in the cage today is open to your questions. Don't be afraid to question what we say, to challenge the words that we speak, or to, indeed, if need be, even pat us on the back and say, guys, that is awesome. I love what you do, and I wish I could be a part of it, because you can in a lot of different ways, and we can talk about that as the time goes on here. So, tell me about yourself. What's your journey been like? What was your first job?
My first job, like I think many people, 16 is the first job era, and I worked on a golf course, really fancy golf course, with my brother. We had the same job. We weeded, like in the next to the green.
Oh, so you actually went and picked weeds.
Yeah, picked weeds, yeah.
Oh,
Hands
that's
and knees.
exciting. That's like high caliber stuff.
Yeah, and I mean, it was super high caliber. We had to wear khaki shorts and tuck in our shirt and collared shirt because
to pick weeds.
Yeah,
with your grass stained knees.
Yeah, yep, and get ticks and
Perfect. Yeah, perfect. That sounds awesome.
But we split a job.
Really?
Yeah, my dad knew a guy there, and so first job, we drove ourselves there, and
that's awesome.
My
first job was we'll kind of do this bounce back and forth thing. My first job was detasseling corn. So do you know what that is?
Yeah, you walk through and is that when you all walk through in a line and you
go? Yeah.
Yeah, and then you smack it or you hit it or something?
You actually pick the top of the corn off.
Oh, yeah.
It's like the little tassel thing. JMO says their first job was on a very bad golf course. Explain that. What do you mean how is it a very bad golf course? Would they like intentionally drive balls at you? Or was it just like really poorly kept?
Did the caddies harass you?
Did the caddies harass you?
There was a hierarchy.
Yeah, there is a golf hierarchy, isn't there?
Yeah.
There's like that guy. Yeah, that's for sure. I've noticed that. The owner just didn't care about it. Oh, that sucks. So, hey, since you're there, JMO, let me know about the sound and stuff. If you, if Will's mic is good and if the camera angles are good, because I kind of changed some stuff last stream, so I just want to make sure that the changes I made were acceptable, because I can turn him up or down as needed, and same with myself. So, they didn't even have caddies. Oh, nice.
I see.
So you started off as a caddy picking weeds with grassy knees.
Yep.
And then you progressed. And what was the goal with that? Strictly making money, I assume.
Yeah, making some money, but it was more of like, my parents were like, "Hey, you should learn how to have a job.
Get your butt out of the house. I'm sick of you playing Fortnite."
Yeah, except for it was like, way back when it was, Call of Duty, whatever.
Call of Duty, sure, yeah. Way back when, he says. Yeah.
I mean, Call of Duty 2.
8.5 years ago. Oh, my gosh.
Yeah. So, yeah, it was just get out of the house, learn how to have a job, build discipline, build character.
So it was your parents forcing it. It wasn't like you were sitting there one day playing Call of Duty and were like, you know what, it'd be cool if I had some spare change and went and got a job. It was mom or dad saying.
Yeah, until I got my first paycheck. And
then
I was
you were
like, I want to do this.
And then I was motivated. Yeah.
Exactly. Like the first, I don't know, 2 weeks were like, why am I doing? Like, I can't believe I'm doing this.
Yeah.
But then, first paycheck came in, and I'm like, hey, I understand now.
After getting home and digging the 6 or 7 ticks out of your leg, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's always nice.
Mm-hmm.
Thankfully, it was just your leg.
Yeah.
So your second, you gained that expertise.
Mm-hmm.
You literally became a green thumb.
Yeah.
And then what? What was the goal then?
After that, I was still in high school, so I just kept doing what I was doing, and in the summers, I would work. And so that next summer, I believe, once again, I wanted to go into engineering, and so I got an engineering internship at the same company my brother got an internship with. Once again, who you know, and I knew my dad, and my dad knew an engineer.
Yeah.
And so that job, looking back on it, was a great opportunity that I probably squandered.
Oh, really?
Because
what, relationally or job-wise?
Job-wise.
Okay.
They make automated forklifts.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
And it's so much
that would have
small.
been super cool. Yeah.
Yeah, and there were 4 interns there, and I was one of them. And you know, most of the work that I did was research, like, standards, and then
Really?
yeah, because they said, oh, then
And you were how old?
I was 18.
Teens?
18,
Wow,
yeah.
that's an
But, I
awesome
mean,
opportunity. Just to be a part of that, whether
Yeah.
you actually did the full job or whatnot.
Right.
That's
Yeah.
a really huge opportunity. Yeah.
So I was researching stuff, getting PDFs online, and
Yeah.
that was most of it. I mean, actually, most of it was sitting in a cubicle and.
So that begs the question then. Do me a favor, just for the camera, pull your mic down a smidge.
Yeah, right here.
Yeah, perfect.
Okay, yeah.
What intrigued you about that job then? So what made that job $1 million job, and what did you hate about that job?
I hated that I didn't have enough to do.
So there were times of boredom.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
And I really liked that job because I could see the engineers, the people running around doing the stuff that I wanted to do.
So there was a light at the end of the tunnel for you.
Mhm.
You
Yep.
knew you could see it, and you could say, yeah, that's me. That's what I want.
Yeah, I
Okay.
may be returning pop cans for a little bit, but you know, it'd be really awesome to, you know, use my engineering skills to problem solve and all that kind of stuff with these machines or whatever,
Yeah, absolutely.
or any machine.
Okay, so in either of those jobs, did you manage people or just yourself?
Just myself.
Just yourself. So in managing yourself, you just like managing your time, or was there somebody over you that was just like, okay, this is your every minute of every day type of thing?
Yeah, I mean, I wish it was more structured like that, the internship. But yeah, it was more of like, hey, work on this. Come to me if you have any problems or anything like that.
Sure, I got you.
But yeah, so it's just me managing my.
So did you ever have you ever been in a position, and I know the answers to these, so I'm just asking for them.
Yeah.
Have you ever been in a position to manage people or to be in control enough that the people that you were around reported to you or looked to you for direction?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I later on, I think it was a year or two after that, I worked at a camp, and
Gotcha.
I was
Yeah, that's
just
perfect.
a normal camp worker, high adventure worker.
Yeah.
And 1 week out of that summer, the leader left to like on vacation or because he get a week off, and he chose me to fill in his spot. And that was my first official leadership, leading others position. And I was honored to get that opportunity, but I was also really scared. I didn't know if people would follow me or listen to me at all.
Sure.
I didn't know.
So let's ask that question then. So what was the fear based on, do you think? So yeah, you're afraid they're not going to follow you, but is it just that, hey, I want to walk in this line and you're not following me on this line, or was it something more than that, you think?
For me, it was definitely fear of what other people thought.
Yeah, of what they think of you.
Yeah, what do they think of me? So I wanted to be a good leader, not because I care about the organization and wanted to see people succeed.
Sure.
Well, that too, but also because I was worried about what the person would think of me when I came back. Or worried about my employees would think of me when I
Yeah, so I mean, I asked that question because I mean, over my career, I've had a lot of employees. I've had a lot of different people in a lot of different scenarios and situations and whatnot. And one of the hardest things that I have found with those other leaders that led with me is, we'd go and we'd have to do a presentation. We'd have 500 employees sitting there looking at us, the two guys up front, and the guy next to me would always invariably say, "Oh, I hate these things. I'm always so scared. I hate doing presentations." And I would look back and I would always say, "Why?" They're looking for you to say something, right? You're afraid because you're afraid they're going to ask you a question you don't know the answer to.
Yeah.
Right? So they don't know that you don't know. That's the truth. Unless you're going to talk specifically about someone's job, there's nothing to be afraid of.
Right.
And if somebody does ask you a question, I always just had my back up. Well, I don't know the answer to that. You got me. I'll get back to you. Let's talk afterwards. And so, I mean, from as soon as I convinced myself of that, I almost immediately stopped caring what they thought of me. And it made public speaking almost one of the easiest things I could do. As a matter of fact, it is the easiest thing I do now.
Yeah.
I absolutely love public speaking. J-Mod, are you talking to me about the how did I overcome that fear, or are you talking to Will? Because I mean, for me, it was just a convincing myself of the idea that in their eyes, I am the expert.
Yeah.
Right. I just had a meeting with a school board here in town, and this is a school board that initially, when we, Nick Rush is here. Hey Nick, what's going on, buddy? Glad you could make the stream, man. When they initially met me, they didn't know me, right? They didn't know what to expect from me, so I really didn't get a lot of respect back from them. In the meeting I just had today, because now they've heard me speak, they've seen me do certain things, and now there's no hesitation, there's no question, right? They're actually coming to me to say, "Hey Neil, what should we do?" Which is kind of the neat thing. So, I mean, that's a great question. So, have you overcome that fear then?
Yes. Oh yeah.
How so? How did you overcome that fear?
Oh, when I look back on it, like I had a meeting, I don't know, before break, and with principal counselors, and they asked me, "All right, Will, why'd you call this meeting?" And I think back even 2 years ago, I would have been like, what are you talking about? I didn't. So from then until now, I overcame that fear by, one, believing myself.
Sure.
Believing that I can do it and that people want to listen to me. And part of that was people responding when I do step up or talk to them, responding in a way like, "Hey, Will, you did a good job of this." Encouragement.
Yeah, absolutely. So Nick was asking, what do you think you learned that first week in leadership? So that first week in camp when you had that adventure camp and you're just like, okay, I got to do this. I'm the dude.
I was so stressed. It was unbelievable. I remember riding a bike around most of that week, crashing in my bed late at night, like so stressed.
Yeah.
And what I learned that week was that this is a lot harder than I thought it was going to be.
So what did you find that was harder than you thought it was going to be, though?
Worrying about my decisions affecting people.
Okay. So we're gonna let's come back to that idea about how we think our decisions affect people, particularly. But go on, yeah.
So that it's much harder to do that, and that I don't know. Before I was like, yeah, I'll be a leader. I'm excited, and then after that I was like, I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know.
That old adage. I mean, I love that saying, "You don't know what you don't know," and be okay with that. There are things I'm just not going to know, and I'm going to make mistakes because of that.
Yeah.
But when I make the mistake, I'm suddenly going to know, and I'm going to do my best to learn it. And that's part of for me. It's been part of taking the fear out. Is there's just things I'm not going to know. I'm a fallible human being. I'm going to make mistakes, and then as we go along the way, and I throw that back even to you guys in chat. This idea of as you think about the mistakes that you make, what have been the biggest benefits to you through those mistakes? So let's talk about the impact of the decisions we make on others. Yeah. Which brings me back to where I left off the last stream, where I had to run quickly. A hero doesn't have the luxury. When a mistake is made, of saying to the guy beside them, hey, can you pick up that car and move it out of the way? They have to move the car themselves when they've made a mistake, when they've miscalculated something. And that happens when you watch the movies and the hero comes in and suddenly it didn't go as he had planned, particularly if your name's Batman. He's got to then improvise. He's got to MacGyver it a little bit. And I keep saying they got to MacGyver it a little bit. And the idea there is that, when we talk about leadership or our management ability, you've at times got to MacGyver it. Because you don't know what you don't know until you know. And then what do you do? And for most of us, that means we got to make it up, right? Have you been there? Have you ever been in a situation where you're like, oh my gosh, I don't know. I've got to make this up. Like I've got to get some chewing gum and some duct tape and I've got to figure this out.
Yeah. Following up with this leadership thing, the next biggest leadership opportunity that I just didn't know. I was working with an organization based in United States, but working in Zambia for 3 months. And at the end of this 3-month internship with them, we, us 14 interns.
14, holy crow.
Yeah, I was 14, 11, something like that.
Yeah.
We put on a camp for 100 high school students in Zambia, out in the bush. And each of the interns had a different job. So it was the intern run whole thing. And I was chosen to be the camp coordinator.
Oh, really? So all 14.
The whole thing.
Wow.
Yeah. So that was my major.
Sure.
To
And that
some
was,
degree.
Again, what age?
That was 20. I was
Okay.
20. Yep.
Yeah.
And so here I am, 100 high school students, 40 staff members, and I have to put on this camp. I know nothing about, the land we're going to be at. I have got to come up with games and all these things. And so I just sat there how will I ever do this? And then I realized one thing. So that whole, that weekend was horrible, the first half.
Sure.
And then the second half was the best. The first half, I thought it was up to me. The second half, I realized it wasn't.
So what does that mean then? What is it? So when you say it's not up to you, what is that? What happened? What was the transition?
The transition was, besides me running into the bush and weeping because I was so stressed, the transition was realizing that if something goes wrong, it's not on me.
Necessarily.
It's on us. Necessarily.
Yeah.
It's on us.
Yeah.
And one little thing going wrong doesn't mean it's bad.
Yeah.
So I had to let it go, and I had to give responsibility to others and let it be.
Yeah.
Be okay with it.
And one of the things that I learned early on in leadership is I realized that I found out that breaking it can be fun sometimes. It starts off as a scary, oh crap, we got to patch the hole. You got to put your finger in the hole so that it doesn't leak anymore.
Yeah.
And then suddenly you're like, hey, wait a second, this kind of tickles, because it creates a creativeness in you. It takes this thing that could otherwise have been boring, and suddenly it's an adventure.
Yeah.
And that's what I saw it as, almost like a choose your own adventure book, and I turned life into that. I turned leadership into this idea of, I don't have to keep it the same. And that's really what we do here most days is we kind of, there's the routine of it. But there are times when I can just go, that spare room, let's turn that into a studio.
Yeah.
Yeah. And we get to do that. And I think that's the stuff we're talking about, where we can take something that's broken and to turn it into, something that can be a real creative challenge for us and make life fun.
Yeah.
So
during that camp, the water stopped working, the whole camp.
Oh, who cares?
And
it's just water, right?
Yeah, and all these kids, I had planned a game that was, throwing dust
Water,
and stuff at each other and, flour, and
Yeah.
then all these kids can't even wash it off. So I'm sitting there how? We're just going to be a mess for the whole day.
Now this is a lesson in hygiene now. This is why hygiene is important.
But it was fine. It ended up okay. Yeah, we were all thirsty at the end of the day.
Cases of bottled water that we're dumping on each other.
Yeah.
Wow. So then I'm going to give you some traits of a leader. And I'm going to tell you what you think is most appropriate, and if there's a hierarchy or order that you'd put them in, or if there's anything that you would add to it. Because I think they kind of intertwine a little bit.
Yeah.
And I talked about this again a little bit last stream, this idea of, a leader is a bunch of these things and then more. So I'm gonna give you the phrases, and then we'll take each one after. So it's tireless leader, tireless coach, a tireless cheerleader, and a tireless parent. As well, coupled with being a cheerleader, you also have to be the most excited person in the room all of the time for the people that you lead. You with me?
Mm-hmm.
So, and I'll give you, so I say a tireless leader. When I say
Yeah.
tireless leader, what do you think of?
I think of somebody that stays up really late, wakes up really early, always, working on something on the computer, always running around doing something. That's what I think of first.
Trailblazer. The guy that is in front. You're the leader,
Yep.
right? That's the whole point. You're the guy with the big walking stick up front, and everyone's in the line behind you, and you're like, come on, follow me, right? So that's fair enough. We'll agree on that. So the tireless leader is the guy in the front, or the person in the front. Tireless coach. What's a tireless coach to you?
Someone who not necessarily up front with the person, but behind or to the side of the person, like helping them take steps towards whatever they're going towards.
So someone that has done the thing before
Yeah.
and is willing to sit with you as long as it takes so that you know the path,
Yeah, I think that's good.
whatever that path is.
Yeah.
Tying your shoes, hygiene,
Yeah.
trigonometry,
Mm-hmm.
putting man on the moon. Here, come here, I'll show you how to do this thing that
Yeah.
I know how to do.
Or even if they don't know how, knowing how to know how.
Yeah. And so let me ask you a different question. So a coach is somebody, so we kind of agree to the point that a coach is somebody who knows how to do that thing and then takes that thing that they know how to do, and they go in and they impart that knowledge onto somebody else. So when we put the word tireless beside that, that is somebody who's willing to go to another person and impart that knowledge as long as it needs to be until they get it.
Yeah.
But what happens if they don't get it? What happens if that person just does not get it? Is part of being a tireless coach or a leader saying to somebody, you don't get it. You know what? No offense, but you're just not a NASA scientist,
Yeah.
right?
Like
Is that a part of leadership?
I think it has to be because American dream is you can do anything and be anything you want, but you really can't.
Sure,
When you think
there are
about it.
limitations,
Yeah.
physical and mental.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I mean, being honest as a leader in that way
Yes.
is knowing how to say it, because it matters what you say sometimes, but it's more about
I
how
can't
you
just
say
tell
it.
you suck.
Yeah. Like I can say, hey, you don't know this, you're never gonna get it, or in a nicer way.
Sure.
But yeah, it's definitely part of being a leader. But knowing when to do that.
Yeah, and how?
Yeah.
Yeah, timing is important for sure.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously, there is definitely a time and a place for a lot of that stuff.
Yeah.
Okay, so we know what a tireless leader is. We've kind of identified what a tireless coach is, somebody who's willing to step alongside somebody and with great effort, bring them along and bring them up to speed is what we like to say, right? And then identifying those people who need to be cut from the team,
Yeah.
right?
Yep.
Not everyone's on the A team.
Yeah.
Some people aren't even on the B team.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
yeah. So then tireless cheerleader. So what is a tireless cheerleader to you? So what does a cheerleader
Yeah.
do?
I mean, they just cheer on the person, whatever they're doing.
Go team.
Yeah. Go team. They're cheering on
Yeah,
the
minus the
employee,
pom-poms in
the
our case,
student,
but I mean.
Yeah. Whatever. But when I think of cheerleader, I love encouraging people.
Yes.
When I was at that camp, that's the thing I did the most as a leader, was encouraging. But a cheerleader, I think in the same vein as a coach, needs to know when not to cheer. Right? Because if I always encourage somebody, a student, and then really they're doing something they shouldn't be doing, but I'm like, oh, but you're still doing a good job. Like, that's not going to help them.
Yeah, there's different types of cheering, right?
Right.
So and that's that there's an A team and there's a B team and there's another team maybe for you.
Yeah.
And I'll give you an example of that. And I think I've told you this example before, but I mean, I'll say this for the audience. What's that, Nick? Be the energy you want to attract. Yeah, absolutely. Be a passionate advocate for your team. That and this that statement actually ties right in line with the story. So when I was in the military, when I first joined, I was in the Army, and when I first joined, I realized I had a knack for certain things. Particularly I had a knack for the weapons, for the firearms that we handled every day. And I knew them very well, and I just found it easy. Mm-hmm. You put something new in my hand, and within 5 minutes I had it figured out, torn apart a million times, and put the blindfold on, shut the lights off, let's go, Mm-hmm. And it frustrated me to no end when I'd be in training, and everyone would be lying down the ground. This was in my machine gunner's course when I was a machine gunner. And there was a guy in front of me. His name escapes me, but I can picture it like it was yesterday. And he, for the life of him, could not figure out how to do this stupid gun. Mm-hmm. How to, whatever exercise we were doing, stoppages where the bullet got stuck and he had to do something, which is a common thing in a machine gun, a light machine gun particularly, because they heat up so much. And so as you're going down in the kind of Master Corporal's going up and down the aisle as he's helping all the different people that are practicing, and I'm kind of in the back watching this guy fumble around like a fish out of water. And I leaned over and I said to him, okay, man, just grab the thing and do this, pull this here, and away you go. And no sooner did I get done, just even start explaining, as I hear, Fernandez, Master Corporal, yelling at me, get back in line. Oh, crap. So I took my step back and I watched Private so-and-so start fumbling about his gun again. And Master Corporal Lakpata come down the line, get back to Private so-and-so, gives me the old stink eye. You stay in line, mister. Goes down to help the guy in the machine gun, helps him. Okay, I got it. Master Corporal Lakpata walks away. Guy starts fumbling about again. I'm like, oh gosh, come on, man, this isn't hard. I want to turn. Who's the person to the right? This is Will. I really should, as part of the stream, put names and stuff in there. Will is one of my employees. He's my student success advisor, and we're here just talking today about first jobs, leaderships, what brings us to a certain point, and in particular, we're talking about this idea of being a cheerleader for somebody at the moment.
Yeah.
And so Master Corporal walks away again. He starts fumbling. Another 5 minutes go by, and I'm like, okay, I can't take it anymore. So I'm like, dude, I lean over, and I'm like, just do this thing, pull this lever here, and and Master Corporal again screams my name, Fernandez, get out of there. Wash, rinse, repeat. Master Corporal Lakpata comes back, helps him again, walks away. Again, the guy doesn't have a clue. So I lean over one more time. Okay, guy, just do this thing. And Master Corporal, that was it. He blew up, pulls me aside, takes me just like out of a movie. Yeah. Right in the middle of the parade square, screams at me 1.5 inches from my face. I'm bawling because I'm just a teenager. I'm like 16, and makes me stand there for like 2 hours. I'm sure it was 15 minutes, but it felt like 4 days, Yeah. And then, sure enough, I had a test the next day on that very thing. And all the Master Corporals are there, and who is the guy that does my test but Master Corporal Lakpata? I get down there, and I'm just like petrified. Mm-hmm. Of course, I get down, I ace the test, and I didn't even look at him the whole time. And when I looked up, Master Corporal Lakpata was smiling at me when I was done the test. He said, you passed. Get out of here. I'm like, oh, my gosh. It wasn't until much later that I asked Master Corporal Lakpata, why wouldn't you let me help that guy?
Yeah. Right?
I'm being his cheerleader, and I'm being a coach. I know how to do this, and I want to, come on, man, we can do this, because we're a team. We've got to be in the trenches together, right? It was this whole idea of, and he said, no. He says, your heart's in the right spot, but your mind isn't thinking about the repercussions of you doing that for him. He has to fail.
Yeah.
And he says, because you know what? There's going to come a time when you're going to be in the trench, either asleep, have a bullet hole in you, or doing something else, and you're not going to be able to say, hey, Jimmy, just do this thing. Yeah. And so he has to figure it out now when it's safe to do so, when I'm here to coach him, to lead him, and to be his cheerleader, for me to be his coach, his leader, and his cheerleader, not later on when he's going to look to you and say, Neil, how do I do this thing? Right? Mm-hmm. And so as a cheerleader, sometimes we have to know when to step back even.
Yeah.
And cheer, but from way back.
Yeah.
So a cheerleader, one thing that he taught me in that instance is that a cheerleader is definitely not a coach. They're two very different things, right?
Yeah.
So sometimes it's important for us just to wave the pom-poms. Really?
Yeah.
I don't think I look good in a skirt and boots, but I'm just saying, you know, it's really important for us to really delineate what we think a cheerleader is.
Yeah.
Because very often I think people mistake a cheerleader for a coach,
Yeah.
and somebody that is kind of in charge in some way, and that's not really what a cheerleader is. But I agree with you. You define cheerleader well in the sense that you really are an encourager to those who are trying to do those things. You know, I think the example I used 2 days ago was I have a hard time with that. The cheerleader is not my forte, you know. I talked about the idea of, you know, I got a kid comes in, so I got 14 new Pokemon cards, you know, and I'm like, yay, good for you.
Yeah.
What do I do next? In my mind is going through
Yeah.
all these things, you know. And so that's a struggle for me. That's one of those things that I got to get better at, is being a cheerleader for people and being excited where they're at, you know. So, but a tireless cheerleader is something another world,
Yeah.
you know. I don't know that I could do that well.
Yeah. That'd be very difficult. Do you ever feel like you're faking it when you?
Yeah, absolutely. You know, and that's and if I have a concern about that, it's do they know I'm faking it, and because I'm not a faker. You know,
Yeah.
nothing about me is ever fake.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, I don't wear masks very well.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I think that's one thing that I try not to do, but I won't say that I've never done it. That's for sure, especially when it comes to that aspect.
Yeah.
Of being so, and that is really leads into the next one, which is the most excited person in the room.
Yeah.
So I'm not going to ask this question differently. What's the importance of being the most excited person in the room?
Well, the importance is that no one can be more excited or more bought in than you are, as a leader. That's, I mean, rare. Especially at camp when I worked there, they said the kids will not be excited if you're not.
Absolutely.
They can only match your excitement, right? And so you have to be maximum so that the kids are allowed to be that. Otherwise, they're just going to look at you hot out in the sun, not wanting to be there, and they're not going to be there. So I guess that's the importance of it, to translate that.
Yeah, and I think one of the things that I used as an example a couple of days ago was this idea of a soccer mom. You know, and their kids are 4 years old, and really there's no coordination in the field. But yet when you listen to the crowds, you think they're watching a national level game. You know, they're cheering top of their lungs. And who are they cheering for? They're not cheering for the team.
Yeah.
They're cheering for one kid. They're screaming, spilling their Tim Hortons coffee all over the place. And for you people outside of Michigan, you don't have a clue what Tim Hortons is. They're spilling their coffee all over. Just deal with it. The idea there is that they're being the most excited person in the room for their one kid, right? And because really there's nothing exciting going on outside of the fact that you are participating. Oh my gosh, you're doing it.
Yeah.
Right? You're not doing it well, but I'm just proud of the fact that you're doing it.
Yeah.
And so I think for us, and I'd like to get your perspective, I think for us that's a big part of our job. Is I'm just excited you're here.
Yeah.
I love the fact that you showed up today. You know, and I want to cheer you on for that. No matter what happened yesterday, I'm excited that you showed up today. Right?
Yeah. I think about so much how a lot of these students may never have gotten that
Yeah.
from anybody
Anybody,
in their life. And what does that look like for all of a sudden somebody to be honestly, genuinely saying, I'm so glad you're here.
Yeah.
And just the amount of change that I've seen in the students that have already been here and returned with that very thing, the I'm happy that you're here, changes like a whole discussion when I have it with them.
Yeah.
Like they come in, you know, upset or whatever, and I say, I'm glad you're here. I'm glad you're, you know, getting 1% per day.
Or whatever, or
whatever it is.
Yeah,
it doesn't matter. And I think about that in my own life. How that has affected me. It's given me permission to continue taking steps when otherwise I thought that the road would end.
Yeah.
And like kind of puts the bricks in place ahead of me. That encouragement, that excited in the room idea.
Yeah, and I think those conversations, those being excited always, type things for specific people or groups of people or whatever the case may be, that's really where some of our greatest joys can come from in those interactions, is because that's when they really want to. What's up, OG? You made it, bro. How are things going, man? We're just finishing the conversation from the other day, the one that you missed, about this idea of leadership and being a cheerleader. You know that thing I do in your stream each night, where I come and I harass you to try and cheer you on. So, and then the other thing is a tireless parent, and I don't mean parent in the sense of a biological thing where you and your spouse have made this Choco merch in the background. Yeah, there's a bit there. Hey, Cal, how are you? Glad you guys could make it as well. It was noting the Choco merch in the background. I know, OG, you made the merch. You're an awesome human being. The studying in Starbucks, nice. The idea there is that as a parent, you are not only somebody who cheers them on, but you're also somebody who rebukes when needed. I think the one that really rings true for me, and I always think about it this way, is it's the bike ride situation where you've got a kid who's just learning how to ride a bike.
Yeah.
There is a point where you let go of the seat, right? And you risk two things in that moment. Truly. Yeah. When you let go of that seat, right? Mm-hmm. You risk that kid either riding off into the sunset, being a superstar, the next BMX star on the planet. Yeah. Right? Or you risk that kid driving into the back end of a car. Mm-hmm. Right? Falling over, scratching a knee. As a parent, it's different. Because when you let go of the seat, it's a different conversation. It's out of love at that point. It's no longer a duty or a thing that you have to do. You're being a tireless parent in the sense that you're willing to, as often as need be, come back and catch the seat, pick you up, dust you off, tell you it's going to be okay, wipe the tear away, and then stick you back on the bike and say, oh, come on, let's get this thing going now. So what's that, J-Mode? So how do you decide which a kid needs at which time, and how are you that all at once?
I was just thinking that. I was honestly just thinking that.
So?
Oh, well, in my vast knowledge of parenting, which is none, I think you have to, at least whatever student it is, look at what they don't have.
Sure.
Who already are filling those roles? Mm-hmm. Like, is there a parent already doing that? If not, then you don't have to be. You shouldn't. Maybe you could, but you don't have to be filling that role in some way. My wife works with somebody who fills many roles in her life, and that can get really confusing really fast. The boss role,
sure, or
the parent role, and then how do you put on the different hats, sure, and deal with that, especially with the student. I was actually just talking about this yesterday. Like, I want to be able to, be a friend to a student, but I can't sometimes because I'm their coach, their mentor, their guide, and so I have to take a different approach with it. How do I tell with a student? I don't know. Hope. But yeah, I need to think about that for a little bit.
Yeah. I think a lot of it comes down to, and to answer that question for you, Jimon, in Pickle, I don't know why that happened, man. I'll figure it out afterwards. Says you're spamming something. You must have said something a couple of times, man. Risk hates you. Well, I don't hate you. It really is just no, you're right. I don't like you. I'm just kidding, bro. I think what it comes down to is something that, I focused a lot on at a younger age, which was reading books about, Nightbot hates you. It's not me. Is learning people's personalities, right?
Yeah.
Learning, and this is something that for chat. You guys, have you ever heard of the thing called love languages? I'm much louder than my guest. Oh, I can turn me down.
Do I need to talk louder?
Yeah, it could just be the mic, the way the mic's positioned. Thank you for saying that, Cal. I appreciate that. I just tend to be a louder person.
Yeah.
In general, so I'll let me know if that's better.
So I have earplugs.
in getting to know the different personality types, knowing people's love languages, I think the best way to know which mode to use and when is to know how to read people well.
Yeah.
Is to know who's in the room, to that idea of being able to read your crowd, and know that Susie needs this particular thing at this particular time, whether that's a little side hug to say, here, we're here for you, or whether that's a high five to say, oh, great job, or whether that's a kick in the pants to say, come on, you can do better, and you can, type of thing.
Yeah.
So, that could be a couple of different things, J-Mode. I can adjust that as well. Let me know if that diminishes or not. That's some of the sound stuff that we're still trying to work out. I appreciate that. Pardon me. Yeah, I think that the better we are at identifying people and the place that they're at helps us to be a better leader, coach, cheerleader, because not everyone wants to be cheered. Yeah. Right? Take my son, and this is something else that people often miss when it comes to staff and in people that they game with. And it was funny, OG, I was listening to you and that other guy stream last night as you were playing that game and the bickering that you guys had going back and forth. And I wish you could have heard my mind as I'm like trying to resolve the conflicts that you guys were having about, who was right and who was wrong and whatnot. It's one of those things where, we can talk about that later, OG. It's 100% up, but it's 100% not there yet, buddy. Donations would be great to give to the organization, but it's a PayPal thing right now, and it just goes through Facebook. Really is the best way to do it. Yeah, surprise, surprise, OG was fighting. But when you know someone's personality, right? And take my son, for example. When he started weightlifting with me, started coming to the gym with me. And he's not a big kid. He's actually a really small kid. And I say small. He's the same height as me, but he's skinnier. And when I work out, I love encouragement. I want you to be over top of me, screaming, come on, push. I want the rah-rah, the, manly, come on, My son, if I even count the reps for him, go 1, 2, Dad, shut up. Dad, no, Dad, come on, just quiet. I got it. Different personalities. Yeah. Right? He's very analytical as well. He just wants to really think things through. He wants to talk it out and uses 10 words where 1 will do type of thing. And that's great. There's nothing wrong with that, because that's my mind that says, I don't need 10 words there. I can say that 1 word. Yeah. And I'm like, okay, your point is, come on, just say it already. Come on. And he's like, but I'm not, I gotta say that, and he just wants to go on. And I think as this conversation insists, you have to be everything all of the time. So I think your answer there, G-Mode, is really, it's up to you. Yeah. It's up to you to determine who it is that you're talking to, and what the temperature is at that point. Yeah. To go that way. Thanks for the dono, OG. Appreciate it, buddy. You're the first officially on stream to do that. That's pretty cool. I'll be sure to make a note somewhere and then shred it. I think it's something that as we get better leaders, we really got to refine our craft.
Yeah, it's hard to pinpoint what exactly you read when you know a student needs a mentor or a parent or an encourager. I don't know if you guys seen the show Lie to Me.
No.
It's really cool.
Have you guys seen the show Lie to Me?
It's older. I think it's on Netflix.
Stop spamming stuff, man.
But it's about this guy who's an investigator who can read people and know when they're lying really well. It's a fake show, but based off real principles. And I wonder if there's a way that I could look at different people and read, because you read them in an instant, but break it down. Yeah. And notice specific things. I bet there's something out there like that.
Oh yeah. Yeah,
like their eye twitches, or they look to the left or down. Or
there is a YouTuber that does that right now too. That does something very similar. Where she'll break down conversations where she'll see somebody talking and then she'll go back and kind of break down the eye movement and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, because I know what you're talking about. Like, I know when a student's in front of me and they need encouragement. I can just tell, but how? I've never thought about that. Or, like, what exactly is it?
Yeah.
I don't know. I'll have to think about it.
Well, I think, Cathcal, you did it too. What'd you do? See, this is one of the things. See, this is why we do these test streams. So this is what Cathcal typed, everybody, just so you can all see it. Nightbot is broke. This is the one thing I haven't spent a lot of time on for this stream because the sound was so broken for so long. Yeah, J-Mode, you're next. Nightbot's going to kick your butt. If I could have a superpower, it would be to know exactly what someone needs at the exact moment, especially if they don't know how to express it the right way. And I think that's one of the critical things is that when you talk about our population, Cathcal, and what it is that we do, a lot of these kids emotionally are not at a place where they can express themselves clearly.
Yeah.
Is that a fair statement?
Oh, 100%. Yeah.
So in our case, we really have to, and our structure is set up. So take the morning, for example. We intentionally do breakfast every morning with the kids where we'll have a cart of food. They can get bagels, waffles is the thing right now, cereal or whatever they want. And the intention there is not to necessarily break bread with them, although we do. The intention there is to gauge the mood. Where are you at today? How much attention, how much cheerleading do you need? How much coaching do you need from me today? How much do I need to be the most excited person in the room for you? Yeah. Right? And there's one particular student I know that we are all a huge cheerleader for every morning as soon as they walk in the room. And I think that's an important part of what we do, whether it's at work, whether it's in a classroom, or whether it's in our family. We need to be able to gauge the room. When our kids get up in the morning, when our spouses or our boyfriends or girlfriends, whatever it might be, come in the room, we need to be observant as to what's going on. So, anyways, that's where we're going to leave it there for today. Anyways, we've spent a good 45 minutes or so chatting about this. I think what I want to do from here is then take this leadership conversation and turn it into a hero conversation, right? So when you talk about superpowers, Cathcal, that's the one thing that I would then want to transition. What are our superpowers? Yeah. And how do we use them? Right?
Like our superpowers or like the ones we want to have?
All of the above.
Okay.
Yeah, all of the above. To really talk about, the idea of how do we then take what we consider to be normal and turn it into a superpower that we can then use to be a hero to somebody. And it can, we do have heroes and we just don't even know it. Right? There are those people around us that we call to rescue us more than we realize. And whether it's in a video game or whether it's in real life, I think that's the transition piece. I think I really want to explore the idea of how we get to. Thank you, Cathcal. I appreciate that. I'm glad you could catch it too. I've really wanted to get you in on this conversation. I think at some point, you and I need to be in the cage at some point. Not literally, but figuratively in the cage to have this conversation, because I think you'd be a good person to explore this. There's a bunch of you guys that I've got on a list to contact. So, but yeah, it's really something that I want to push out there and to explore the idea of what makes us do what we do, and really, was it just a part-time job where I went and washed dishes? What was the real motive behind it that ultimately led to the fact that I'm here today doing what we do and exploring that on stream. I think that's cool. Thank you guys for coming out today. I appreciate all of you. I know a lot of you guys are big supporters in a lot of different ways. And you're new to leadership. Oh, good. I'm glad to hear that, J-Mode. You know what? In something like that, it'd be awesome to have you here as often as possible, just from the simple questions. Yeah. Not the simple questions, just simply because of the questions that you would ask would be huge. Because it really, that gets down to the nitty gritty of the conversation and the topics that helps us to really hammer out some of the cool stuff. And so, as we go, I'm going to try and do at least one of these types of conversations a week, and then other types of conversations as we go as well. But this, I think this leadership one coach, leadership, personalities, that type of stuff is going to be a regular thing because that's just something I love to talk about.
Cool.
And yeah, I'll message. I do have a Discord channel, guys. And I'll start posting in there more. I set it up, but it's not really set up. I'll get that to where it needs to be so you guys can be in tune when I do go live, so we can have these conversations better. And again, I encourage you below the stream, if you can go and post questions or topics that you want to talk about, it'll help me a lot. Know who to bring on next, and then to take this content to relevant streamers.
Yeah.
To have the conversation about how they think their jobs and what they stream content-wise impacts these things that we talk about. So thanks again, guys. Appreciate all of you, and I will be in touch soon. Thanks for joining us.
Thanks.
And bye for now, guys.